This broadcast is for March 16, 2026, Japan time. Welcome to Samurai MLB Talk. Thank you very much for watching. This channel is a place where we explore the essence of humanity through the lens of baseball, through the way we watch the game, the spirit behind it, and the philosophy it reflects from a uniquely Japanese perspective. To our viewers in the English-speaking world, I truly hope you'll enjoy this dialogue about human nature as seen through the game of baseball. Your support means more than I can say. If you enjoy this content, please consider subscribing to the channel. Part 1, Reconstruction of Samurai Japan, a proposal for revival. The defeat of Samurai Japan against Venezuela. On March 15, Japan time, was a bitter pill to swallow. Looking at it objectively, it was a game we should have won. While the lineup performed brilliantly, the fragility of the pitching staff a concern since the start of this tournament, and critical tactical errors by the coaching staff led to our quarterfinal exit. The entire nation of Japan is now grieving with indescribable regret. From this very moment, we must thoroughly analyze our failures and begin moving toward the next World Baseball Classic. Repeating the same mistakes 3 years from now is absolutely unacceptable. In 2023, under manager Hideki Kuriyama, superstars like Shohei Ohtani and Yu Darvish led the team to victory over the United States. We believed we had finally caught up to and conquered the world. However, the reality is that we are back to square one. The Japanese style of baseball that aimed to overtake America has collapsed, and I view this as a critical situation. Losing a game that was within our grasp is a bad habit Japan has repeated in the past. I have seen this far too many times, and I am tired of it. We no longer need this kind of defeat. Since the results were not achieved, the entire organization, including the coaching staff, must be dismantled. The issues exposed in the pool play were repeated in the knockout stage, and mistakes that weren't seen before surfaced at the most crucial moments. In short, the Samurai Japan pitching staff was weak. The offense, which scored 5 runs, deserves a passing grade. Ideally, we should have won 5-2 and been looking forward to the next match. The fact that we couldn't do that is the answer to everything. For the next 3 years, baseball fans must carry this resentment. The reconstruction will be fraught with immense difficulty. Perhaps there was a sense of complacency, thinking we could succeed just by following the 2023 model. Ultimately, the weakness shown on the field is everything. While we do not yet know who the next manager will be, we as fans must strictly evaluate and monitor the selection process. Youth and momentum were not enough. That is why a winning game was turned into a loss. I have always maintained that international players rely on instinct, pushing with power and technique, rather than the meticulous strategy seen in Japan. Yet, we were overwhelmed by that very instinct. The magnificent flow of 2023, where Shohei Ohtani established himself as a unicorn by fusing technique and power to conquer the world, has been disrupted. It is utterly unacceptable to lose in this manner. Just as Japanese precision baseball was gaining global recognition, this regret will stay with me until the next WBC. Domestic success in the NPB means nothing if a pitcher is hammered on the international stage. The selection process and the fundamental philosophy of the coaching staff must be overhauled. Even with high-quality talent, without the sense to utilize it, results will not follow. After Yoshinobu Yamamoto, was there no option to use Hiromi Miyagi? The lineup of Atsuki Taneichi, Chihiro Sumida, and Hiroto Takahashi is not bad, but what if the relay had been Yamamoto to Miyagi? Manager Ibata called for a total war effort, but perhaps adjusting for a potential semi-final proved to be his undoing. What was the rationale for using Hiromi Ito in such a dire situation? While there are things fans cannot know, not being allowed to point them out only adds to the stress. while slander is out of the question. The sense behind the tactics must be strictly questioned. Why couldn't Sumita pitch effectively in that situation? Why did the ball intended for the inside high drift into the heart of the plate? The decision to use him was likely based on his strong performance in the first round, but what was the basis for believing that would work against a quarter-final opponent? Furthermore, regarding Ito, who had been targeted for his fastball during the game against Korea, why was he put in a position to repeat the same mistake? Why did he give up a home run in the same manner as the one hit by Hye-Seon Kim? It is the right of the fans to raise these questions. We lost because we were destined to lose. We let a winnable game slip away. I have no choice but to say so. Samurai Japan must start over. I strongly demand that the Samurai Japan Executive Committee reconsider why the 2023 roster functions south well. The selection of the next manager and coaching staff should not be based on personal preference, but on the analysis and construction of a winning organization. Without a clear vision and logical structure, the next result will be the same. If we lose again, Japanese baseball will slide back into a disappointing past. I will continue to make proposals to ensure that does not happen. A gold medal at the Los Angeles Olympics, and the reclamation of the WBC title. We must carefully plan the roster to achieve these consecutive victories now. Proposing logical selections is a right and duty for anyone who loves baseball. There is no law that says only experts may speak. This defeat felt like watching a younger version of myself. Frustrating and highly stressful. I do not intend to blame individual players. Sumita's mistake and Ito's conceded home run are simply the reality of the world stage and their current skill levels. However, the coaching staff had the responsibility to assess those skill levels and implement the best strategy. Even for Yoshinobu Yamamoto, the lack of international compatibility and lack of conditioning at this time of year was evident. The fact that we had to rely on him regardless shows a concerning lack of depth in the pitching staff. As for the offense, the first through sixth hitters were perfect. Despite the unfortunate injury to Seiya Suzuki, Shota Morishita stepped in as a substitute and hit a brilliant home run, showing the true potential of Japan. However, the weakness of the bottom of the order, 7th to 9th, is clear. We must improve this and build a lineup without gaps, where every hitter from 1 to 9 can be expected to drive in runs or hit home runs. Samurai Japan must start preparing for the Los Angeles Olympics and the next WBC immediately, or it will be too late. Let's move toward the next victory right now. Part 2, Words from the Unicorn. Shohei Ohtani reflects on the loss. After the game, the members of Samurai Japan found it difficult to leave the stadium. Our unicorn, Shohei Ohtani, finally headed home over an hour after the game ended. Before leaving, Shohei Ohtani left a comment for the media. Here are some of his words. It's truly frustrating. Venezuela was really strong. Even while we were giving what we had, I feel like we were ultimately pushed back by their power in the end. Frustrating is really the only word for it. It was a close game, one with many elements that could have led to a win. It wasn't that we were completely overpowered across the board. I think there were opportunities here and there where we could have won. The game just ended, so I think it's hard to immediately think about what's next. But there will certainly be more national team games. And since there are many young players, I believe there will definitely be another chance to aim for the World Championship. I want us to all work hard toward that. We were talking about meeting again. So I think everyone will grow even more and come back stronger. Of course, it was a wonderful experience. But anything other than a championship feels like a failure. In terms of results, that's what it comes down to. Everyone, including the manager, staff, and support crew, was working toward that single goal. It is extremely disappointing that it ended this way. But as I said, there will definitely be a next time. So I want to work hard toward that. Regarding the national team, I want to take on the challenge again. A revenge of sorts. I don't know in what capacity I will be able to participate next time, including my own situation. But I want to focus on the next opportunity when it comes. There were many truly solid players. And I get the impression every year that the level of young players in both pitching and hitting is rising. I think there are many players to look forward to in the future. And I would be happy if the overall level of the baseball world continues to rise, including new players joining in. Shohei Ohtani chose each word carefully as he spoke. Usually, he leaves the clubhouse quickly after a game. But this time, following a defeat, I believe he spent that time with the younger players. The Samurai Japan players were deeply discouraged after the loss. Our unicorn, Shohei Ohtani, also had a look of sadness on his face. However, the fire in his eyes had not gone out. I perceived that his gaze was already fixed on the next national team match, and the victory Samurai Japan must strive for. To Shohei Ohtani, despite the restriction of focusing only on hitting, you encouraged the team with your incredible performance. The sight of you hitting a home run immediately after Yamamoto conceded runs was the sign of a true treasure. I sincerely hope he returns for the WBC in 3 years. I want him, along with pitchers like Roki Sasaki, to reclaim the world title once again. Japanese baseball was called the best in the world. But the reality is that it is still developing. This tournament forced us to face that fact. From today, we start again from scratch. We must redefine our pitching standards to a global level, conduct selections based on data, and approach the next battle with a rock-solid foundation. Until the day Samurai Japan stands at the top of the world again, I will continue to raise my voice. Part 3, Future Challenges for Samurai Japan, Power and Precision. A positive takeaway from the Samurai Japan team was the ability to assemble a powerful lineup, including our unicorn, Shohei Ohtani, as well as Teruaki Sato, Seiya Suzuki, and Masataka Yoshida. However, the lack of impact from Kazuma Okamoto and Muntaka Murakami was disappointing. They must perform much better if the fusion of Japanese technique and power is to become the world's best brand of baseball. In this tournament, Teruaki Sato and Shota Morishita, who made a brilliant emergency appearance after Seiya Suzuki's injury, showed great results. I demand that Okamoto and Murakami contribute to scoring in the same way. I hope they work hard to ensure that kind of performance in the next tournament. Another challenge for the Samurai Japan lineup is the low offensive output from the 7th through 9th hitters. While Shigo Maki is a strong hitter, he is not yet a major threat in international competition. We need to place hitters like Morishita, who can hit home runs and perform under pressure, in the 7th to 9th spots. Since Shohei Ohtani is the leadoff hitter, the key for the next tournament will be how much the 7th through 9th hitters can get on base and involve themselves in scoring. As for the pitching staff, they were completely inadequate. Lack of experience, lack of skill, everything was missing. I will say it again. And I will say it as many times as necessary. The game between Samurai Japan and Venezuela should have been a 5-2 victory. In reality, Samurai Japan lost 8-5. How did this happen? First, the starter, Yoshinobu Yamamoto. He was in terrible form. He was not able to pitch in his usual state at all. In truth, Yamamoto has never had a truly brilliant performance when pitching for Samurai Japan in the past. That pattern continued in yesterday's game. An average pitcher might have given up 5 runs. With that kind of stuff, but Yamamoto managed to leave the mound having given up 2 runs. This was the first miscalculation. Next, Sumida, who took over for Yamamoto. He showed a great performance in the first round. However, was it the pressure of the moment? He threw a ball intended for the inside high into the middle high area and gave up a home run. Suddenly, it was 5-4, a 1-run game. This was the second miscalculation. Then came Ito, who replaced Sumida. Everything was decided during his time on the mound. He had already given up a game-tying home run against Korea in the first round. Similarly, against Venezuela, he surrendered a 3-run home run. This was the greatest miscalculation. Ito was the Sawamura Award winner in the NPB last season. The Sawamura Award is the title given to the best pitcher in Japanese baseball. For a title holder to pitch like that is unacceptable. Both in the first round and in yesterday's Venezuela game, he gave up home runs that proved fatal to Samurai Japan. Furthermore, it is appalling that the coaching staff, having witnessed Ito's home run in the first round, chose him again for the Venezuela game, and invited the same result. As for Ito, it was a complete lack of ability. Just because a pitcher wins the Sawamura Award in Japan, does not mean they will succeed in international competition. That is a completely different story. And it became a harsh reality. It must be said that the coaching staff's choice of Sumida and Ito dealt the final blow to Samurai Japan. As for the runs given up by Taneichi, the momentum was already entirely with Venezuela by then. I think that was unavoidable. It is a truly regrettable result. At this point, Samurai Japan is dismantled. We have no choice but to wipe the slate clean and start over. It has been proven that we cannot win under manager Ibada. He did a great job reaching the finals of the Premier 12 with a depleted roster. However, in the 2026 WBC, he lost a winnable game and sent Japanese baseball back into the past. We did not lose in terms of raw talent, but we lost the game. I never want to experience this reality again. We must start moving toward the Los Angeles Olympics and the next WBC immediately. This loss has left a shameful record for Samurai Japan and brought about the worst possible outcome. It has reminded me once again that a single decision in player usage can decide a game. Depending on how players are used, you can become either a winner or a loser. We will have to endure the time until the next national team games while carrying this deep regret. The lack of experience on the big stage and the complacency of the coaching staff were exposed. The low quality of the pitching staff and poor selection choices were clearly evident in the Venezuela game. What was the basis for thinking Sumida, who pitched well in the first round, would be effective against the Venezuelan lineup? Venezuela has a powerful offense that does not forgive pitching mistakes. As a result, a mistake led to a home run that closed the gap. Ito's weapon, the fastball, was caught and hit for a home run in the first round. Why did the staff think to use him again in the Venezuela game? The intention of the Samurai Japan coaching staff is invisible. Consequently, Ito gave up the home run that resulted in Samurai Japan's elimination. Everything was a series of miscalculations. It was a pathetic game. It was the worst game. To ensure we are never shamed like this again, Samurai Japan must scrap their plans and verify the reasons for this loss. We must analyze and gather pitchers who possess not only control but power plus control. For the WBC, we must select pitchers who can perform at their peak in early spring. Selections should be based on potential and suitability for international play, rather than just seasonal NPB stats. Regarding the lineup, it was good to have power hitters from 1st to 6th, but because the 7th to 9th hitters were weak, we need to add 3 more power hitters to those spots. Also, for the selection of the coaching staff, do not rely on their past stats as players. Assemble a staff that can judge players based on their current form and what they see now. Only when we do these things will we see a glimmer of hope for Samurai Japan's victory. We will continue to cover topics supporting Samurai Japan on this channel, but going forward, we will focus on the movements of Samurai Japan toward the next national team tournament. That is all for today. Thank you very much.